Regardless of politics, we'll start with you, Dr. Quinn. Is there an age of concern past which the average person, the average American, would struggle to hold an office like this?
Well, what needs to be the concern is the person's ability to do his or her job. And what needs to be addressed or evaluated are more safeguards. Now, as far as in the legislation, Amendment 25, that's the protection or the safeguard. So if the president of the United States is unable or determined unable to serve, he can be removed. But for legislation other than the president, that safeguard is not there. But as a physician of 20 years, it varies from state to state, our safeguards, because decisions made by physicians, Congress people are very impactful that can affect, especially in the Congress can and the Senate can affect millions of people. But in the Mississippi, we have a safeguard where if a physician is determined to be in question, he's evaluated by a panel, and if it's determined that he's not safe, he's removed. So the question is, are there enough safeguards in place to protect the people?
I mean, Dr. Gandhi, what do you think about this? We know McConnell is 81, Feinstein is 90 years old. I know each person is different, and there's no question about that. But what are the health concerns, especially cognitively, when a person reaches that part of their lives?
Yes, well, there are health concerns. I mean, people sort of, when they get older, it's just the truth. Like, there are health issues, there can be cognitive decline. And in the case of Senator McConnell, he did freeze. It almost looked like he was aphasic, couldn't speak, which can be any number of things. One worry would be a TIA or beginning of a stroke. And then the other would be that he had had a concussion after he fell earlier this year. And then Senator Feinstein was in the hospital for a very long time for a shingles episode, which is an infection, and it was on the side of her face. But that can be also really debilitating when you're older. So we just have to admit that like health issues occur. And I think that Dr. Quinn said something really smart, wise, which is that the decisions that senators make actually have policy implications for the rest of the country. And so they're very high profile and very important jobs. And when people get older, there are places in this world where they say, yeah, it's just you're too old to run for office or to be in charge of something this important. And I think it's okay to mention that and say that.
Okay, so I appreciate you saying that. Dr. Quinn, I want to broaden this out from just politics in just a moment, but if we stay with this just for one more second, should there be an age limit in Congress and in our higher offices when it comes to politics and politicians? Or at the very least, should there be a mandated test or examination that they have to go through every term limit or even every year?
Right. And as I said earlier, safeguards. Now, I compare or parallel physicians to people in politics, in Congress and Senate. But the deal is, in the medical field, it varies from state to state according to the American Medical Association. But if a physician is in question, because if that medical provider is compromised, he could harm someone, he could cause someone to lose their lives. But when we talk about United States senators, their decisions not only affect millions of people in the United States, but millions of people abroad. I mean, they're making decisions of, are we going to go to war? I mean, I served in Desert Storm in 1990, and the decisions were made impacted my life. And the deal is, it's so important that we have those safeguards in place. As I said, Amendment 25, there's an opportunity if the president is considered unable to do his job, he can be removed. But I don't see those safeguards in the Mississippi or the national Senate or the Congress. Safeguards need to be put in place. It's so important.
Yeah, I absolutely hear you, and I thank you for your service as well. I see Dr. Gandhi nodding, and this is a delicate conversation. Nobody wants to be ageist here, and I think everybody also acknowledges we want leaders who have a wealth of experience, who have the wisdom that come with age. Dr. Gandhi, I want to ask you, beyond politics, we are seeing more and more Americans who are staying in their jobs longer. They are pushing off retirement, often in difficult economic situations as well. Do you think that these sort of senior moments, or even something more concerning than that, in the workplace are going to become more common across our country?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. And I think that this is true that as people get older, I mean, it's a very vague medical term to say senior moment, but the idea is that it's just harder to process. It's harder to be as quick as you were when you're younger. None of this is, I'm not saying anything medical. I'm saying things that people already know from just living through life and knowing that it's harder when you're older. I think that what we could do is instead of using a limit, having, like you suggested before, with politicians at least, and pilots and physicians. I mean, really, you're naming fields where there's a high impact to not being as sharp as you used to be. There's really high impact. Doing medical examination, doing cognitive examinations, doing mental status examinations, and that would maybe give us more reassurance that someone is fit for the office.
Yeah, doctors, people are nervous to talk about this, so we really appreciate you having a respectful and larger focused conversation with us today. Dr. Monica Gandhi and Dr. Timothy Quinn, thank you both.